Wow. Wow is pretty much the best word other than amazing, outstanding, incredible, unbelievable. I know that it's very easy in the world of wrestling to say hyperboles or different keywords or, oh my God, show of the year right after it just happened. But this week, the very first season of the Cruiserweight Classic concluded with a brand new, the first ever unexpected, although a speculated Cruiserweight champion, but it's not Kota Ibushi, it's not Zack Sabre Jr., it is TJ Perkins. Now, honestly, I didn't care who was going to win this tournament because to me it wasn't about the end. It was about the journey, and we talked about that on this week's podcast, which we predicted just a couple of hours before the Cruiserweight Classic actually happened. So in this video, I definitely want you guys to get involved in the conversation, drop a comment with your reactions to this, and then sort of overall, because I am super sort of sad that the Cruiserweight Classic ended. As somebody that grew up watching the Cruiserweights in WCW, and, you know, we had a Cruiserweight division in WWE, and yes, I know there's a lot of Cruiserweight wrestling in the independent scene, but it's honestly not the same. It's hard to really get invested into one when you don't have a set roster. And you have WWE's production value, you have everything that's so outstanding, which Keith and I did talk about in our top 5 reasons why the Cruiserweight Classic's awesome. But getting to this, we had the first match, which was Grand Metalik versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, I predicted that it was going to go down to Grand Metalik versus TJ Perkins, and right at the beginning of the match, I knew it was going to happen, because if you go back, the first minute or two of the match were made so that Grand Metalik was the clear babyface and that Zack Sabre Jr. was not necessarily the heel, but he was the challenger. He was the wall for Grand Metalik to overcome with the diving move. And then if you look at Zack's face throughout the match, he's more upset. Before, he'd be smiling a lot more. He wasn't pandering to the crowd. But I love that because it was a challenge for both Grand Metalik and TJ Perkins in his match, because Kota Ibushi and Zack were the original two people that everybody expected to win. Now we can talk about, yeah, Kota Ibushi didn't sign, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about the behind the scenes nature of this, because the product that we saw was so freaking good. Why waste our time talking about things we don't know about when we know that this was awesome? And that's all we needed to know. I appreciated how, even though the match started with really nice high-flying spots, it quickly became about submission wrestling. So you're able to say, okay, Zack does the submission stuff, but so does Grand Metalik. Even though he is outstanding, he is the king of the ropes for a reason. He is so smooth in both this match and the match with TJ Perkins. And it's something about this guy just is outstanding. It's very special. He has this mix of Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio combined, in that he is super smooth in the ring, but he's not super fast, and I don't mean that in a bad way. There's sort of a heaviness to the shooting star, to the diving elbow drop he does, but in a way like it feels it has weight to it, right? Rey Mysterio was super agile, but the man, wasn't even like 180 pounds, so whenever he did a lot of splashes, they didn't have that impact, but with Grand Metalik it does. I wrote my notes. I'm all like Stone Cold right now, because it was a lot of stuff happening. What else do I have here? I love that Grand Metalik got the win out of nowhere with the Metalik driver. I even though I was pretty sure it was going to come down to those two, I was like, okay, my prediction for the victory overall was TJ Perkins, but were they going to be crazy enough to actually give us the match that I would love to see as the end? And we did. But Grand Metalik won, definitely deserved. Now, we got a complete contrast with the following match, TJ Perkins versus Kota Ibushi. And here I was thinking, okay, Grand Metalik won, even though, once again, my prediction was TJ Perkins. It's like, man, it kind of doesn't seem like it. So my pick before this match actually changed to Grand Metalik. And I enjoyed how, even though the first match was super high-flying at the very beginning, here we go. We slow the pace down right at the beginning of this match, and I truly enjoy the cockiness that TJ Perkins has. I wrote in my notes here, I really do feel like Stone Cold now. I need to do the voice, but Perkins is better than Cien Almas. Perkins does this whole rope capture thing when they try to throw him outside the same way Cien Almas does, but there's something about the cockiness, about the arrogance that Perkins has that's way more humble. Cien still kind of looks like, yeah, I'm very good at what I do, but this is my character. Whereas Perkins looks like he really does live it. And if you look at this match, the majority of it, yeah, we got a couple of moonsaults, we got the trademark stuff, but both of these matches, if anything, were fairly slow-paced, for a cruiserweight standard. Like, most of the things that people even marked out for were submission moves, myself included. So it was a great throwback to, like, your Dean Malenkos, like those cruiserweight classics in WCW that were outstanding. And here we go. The moment the Golden Star hit, I was like, this is it. I mean, I'm super happy that Perkins got this opportunity. The man is going to be at Raw anyway, so whatever. He kicked out. I don't even know what my reaction was. I had to look up Twitter because I'm like, the internet's going to blow up. I can believe it myself. And I love this because it felt like a boss battle, right? Picture you're playing in a video game and you saw the boss at the very beginning. The boss here is the Golden Star Powerbomb. And you're like, okay, I know eventually I'm going to have to face the boss. I'm going to be hit with the boss, but I got to overcome the boss. And the whole tournament was about that. And here we go. Semi-final match. You get hit with it. Then it's like he overcame the boss. And right there, you're thinking, well, he's got to win. I mean, that's what I was thinking. But then I loved how they really did a great job of teasing yet another Golden Star Powerbomb. But the way they did it, the way TJ Perkins was selling, it was in such a way where I really did think that there was going to be a second one, and this time Kota Ibushi was going to win, which is fine because the majority of the crowd really was for Kota Ibushi. It was kind of like 50-50 for TJ Perkins, surprisingly enough, but he is so fluid in the way that he counters, and once again, submission-style wrestling overcomes, and it's the importance of selling this, and, it's like figuring out the desperation. How can I prevent Kota Ibushi from reaching the ropes? Ultimately, he does so, and Kota Ibushi taps out. So he's not going to be part of the Cruiserweight division on Raw, so it makes absolute sense to really elevate TJ Perkins, because everybody saw TJ as the underdog here, but now they're the same level, and ultimately TJ Perkins became the Cruiserweight champion. And now to sort of breathe, because here I'm thinking like 2 outstanding matches already. I'm kind of done. Like, I'm good. I don't need anything more. You get Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano DIY versus Noam Dar and Cedric Alexander to sort of get us ready for the Cruiserweight division on Raw. And it was simply a fun match. I love all 4 guys. Noam Dar still not completely sold on him, but I get why people like him, and he's super young. I feel old. I just turned 27 this past Tuesday, and it's crazy how growing up with wrestling, and now like a lot of the guys are either my age or younger, in the case of Noam Dar, which is still outstanding to me, but way too many super kicks, or not necessarily that, but just like every move it felt like, Irish whip, like let me slap my thigh. And I enjoyed how guys like TJ Perkins, Kota Ibushi, everybody else, they did similar things with kicks, etc., but it wasn't so obvious that they were overdoing it. There was one part of the match where I'm just invested into it, but I kind of get pulled back around the last 4 to 5 minutes because they did the awesome sequence where at the end all 4 were down. But if you look back at the whole sequence and moments before it, I was like, can you tone that down a little bit? Because that's like, oh, okay, I get it. That's your thing. But regardless, I love me some Johnny Gargano, some Tommaso Ciampa. They won. It was really an exhibition bout to get you ready and to get TJ Perkins and Grand Metalik to rest a little bit. And I really enjoyed how before the main event, before the finale, we go back to Dana Bryan and Mauro Ranallo. They talk a little bit about their experience or emotional journey with all of this. And they bring out William Regal. They bring out Corey Graves. And they're selling this. You have William Regal, who is a legend in the world of wrestling, somebody Dana Bryan looked up to, and then they are talking about all this. You bring out Corey Graves going out of the CWC control center, and they're building everything up in such a way that it's like, okay, here we go. You know, whoever wins, despite who wins the tournament, these are two of the leading men in the Cruiserweight division for Raw. Please, just a quick, don't mess this up, WWE. Don't mess this up. I know we're all in this right now. Like, I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the concern from everybody. We're going to make sure to talk about it next week on the podcast. But ultimately, here we go. Before the match starts, Triple H's theme hits in. I was thinking of Pedigree. No, not really, but it's great that they stop before the match. Here we go. It was a big moment, legendary. The way he worded things, you knew this is the first ever, not the only Cruiserweight Classic. And then out of a bag, he pulls out the CWC, or the Cruiserweight Championship, and the winner of this match is not only going to get the trophy, but will become the first ever champion. I felt like these 2 hours were like, they weren't a wrestling show, they weren't a wrestling experience, it was a theme park. You go in, and that is the roller coaster ride that you've always wanted to go to, but along the way you get candy, then you figure out there's an even more kick-ass ride, then you find a best friend. I felt like every step of the way here, just something great was happening. I was already enjoying it. Then we see the Cruiserweight title, which is not the same as the WWE Universal or the World or the Women's title, which is super nice because I get what they're trying to do, but that's not the topic here, right? Ultimately, we are treated to an outstanding, incredible match where, as I mentioned at the beginning, at this point, I did not care. I did not mind who was going to win. And that's how you know it's good wrestling, where I am in this for the ride. Whether Grand Metalik wins or TJ Perkins, I know the Cruiserweight division, if given the proper amount of time, it is in good hands because these are some incredibly talented superstars, and we're not even including the likes of Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. You know, a couple of people that were ringside. Apparently, Sasha Banks and Jack Gallagher, really easy to mistake with the lower third, but things are bound to happen. At the end of the match, we see that possibly there may be a super Metalik driver. Excellent counter by TJ Perkins. We get to the submission hold and a tap out. And once again, submission wrestling. I think that I'm trying to put it's so much stuff happening in WWE right now that not necessarily all of it is great, but I'm so hopeful. I am so hopeful about all this, and the fact that in a couple of days we're going to find out whether this works or not. I know that one night on Raw is not enough to say, oh, okay, the Cruiserweight division's fine, folks, but first impressions make a big impact, and even though all of us watching this either know about or have seen the Cruiserweight Classic, we know the majority of the WWE Universe has not seen that, so they got to kick some ass in that first night. So TJ Perkins is the excellent person to do that, but with submission wrestling, they're going to be able to perform a long-lasting Cruiserweight division. Let me explain myself. When you think about Cruiserweights, people always think about spot monkeys or diving off the top rope every 5 seconds, but if you look back at what Keith and I said in our very first video, and this review right here, as a matter of fact, the outstanding spots for me are the submission holds and how they're able to tell a story throughout the match. Now, given they're giving a lot of they're handed a lot of time here that they will not be given on Raw. I don't think that's an argument that could be had unless they give the Cruiserweight division 30 minutes on Raw for whatever combination. It's like, you guys have 30 minutes, do whatever. I don't think that's going to happen every week, so we'll hurt this because the storytelling in this is made for wrestling fans. It's not made necessarily for sports entertainment fans, if you get my difference there. But I want to get your thoughts about all this, the crazy spots, including the diving Hurricane Rana that Grand Metalik gave TJ Perkins at some point during the match, which was sick. I've never seen that before. Cruiserweight Classic, it came to an end. I'm super bummed about it. I'm not going to say I can't wait for the next one because there is so much of a good thing. I hope they treat this like they do a Game of Thrones or different TV series where you watch a season, but then you don't see it for a while. And even though the first few months are like, ah, damn it, but I want to see it next week. The time that it takes to reestablish that, to build it up properly, is going to make it that much more appealing, that much better when ultimately they do come back. And they shouldn't limit this to cruiserweights. They should do heavyweights or a women's type of tournament. This is an excellent example of WWE doing something different, because this would not work in the main roster. This format would be boring as hell for a lot of wrestling fans, because we are in the minority. I still do believe that, but they were able to take a lot of people. I've been talking for over 16 minutes. Holy crap. But they were able to take a lot of wrestling that traditionally WWE would say like, no, let's not do this. But Triple H believed in this. William Regal believed in this. They had the support of Mauro Ranallo, Dana Bryan, and so many people. And me as a wrestling fan, this has been the most that I've enjoyed wrestling in years. I will say that the match between Kota Ibushi and TJ Perkins is one of my favorite matches in a very, very long time. And it's crazy because I've never seen much of Kota Ibushi since before this tournament. I saw a couple of highlight videos. TJ Perkins I saw on TNA, but very little of it. And here I am saying, like, that's one of my favorite matches. And in wrestling, we say, well, you know, WWE, at least you know the characters. This broke a ton of molds. I'm wondering how many people watch this, you know, in comparison to NXT. WWE obviously has those numbers. And if they're willing to do a live finale, if they're willing to put the Cruiserweight division on Raw, I would like to think that it drew good enough numbers that they're willing to take a shot with the Cruiserweights. So overall, I got to say, once again, I'm super bummed out, but I am super grateful that WWE gave us this treat of talent around the world in one tournament with WWE's outstanding production value. Do you agree with me? Definitely drop a comment with your overall feedback. Which was your overall favorite match in the Cruiserweight Classic? So many of them are great. Kota Ibushi, Brian Kendrick, the very first round, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. This episode right here is just a wrestling clinic. Show this to like your average or your casual fans or friends that enjoy wrestling and see if they like it. I think that this is a very good episode for that, but definitely check out the podcast. I'm going to make sure to drop once again at the very end of this video mine and Keith's video where we talk about 5 reasons as to why the CWC is awesome. Also check out, we have a Let's Play series here on the channel where we play a variety of wrestling games from the past. Recently I played WWE of Raw, and Ryan and Keith saw me suck horribly at it. And if you enjoy everything we do, the best way you can support us is number 1, by liking, number 2, by subscribing, number 3, sharing. Get the word out about all the stuff we do. We now officially cover SmackDown in the podcast, which moved from Tuesday nights to Wednesday nights being recorded. And the last and certainly not least thing, head on over to patreon.com/Byte That. What's Patreon? It's a platform where you can contribute for a monthly basis, and you get cool perks like early access for gold members. You get to go behind the scenes, and you help us reach different goals that help us increase production value. It helps us increase more content or more accessible content. For those on the road, we get to provide a secondary podcast feed. For you right here, you want the podcast to go on video? That takes a couple of tweaks and twerks. Go along with me, tweaks and twerks to make that happen the best possible quality. We're not just about quantity here, we're definitely about quality, and Patreon is going to make sure we're able to provide that for you. So thank you once again. You are awesome. The CWC is awesome. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with a lot more right here on Byte That. "20 minutes of my voice. Is that too much? I don't know if it's too much, but I love me the CWC. I'm done talking now.